What's up YouTube? Back with another video, and I did a video on the Rockets playbook already, but 2K recently updated it, so today we're gonna go over a few plays in the updated playbook. So let's get into it. The first play is called Fist 1 Point Trip. You can call this for Chris Paul, Harden, or Ennis, and most of the time you'll end up with a 3 or a layup. So right here we call the play for Chris Paul, but Harden is gonna be the one to get the shot. So Chris Paul is gonna start with the ball on the wing. Ennis is gonna cut to the rim, but he will almost never be open. Then Harden is going to get a screen from both Capella and Tucker and come up to the top of the key and be open for a 3. And if the 3 is not there, just keep the ball with Harden and dribble to the wing. Then Lopez will come up and set a screen for Chris Paul. Then Chris Paul is going to cut to the rim, and a lot of the times he'll be open for a layup. Also, if he's not open on the cut, the play ends in the pick and roll. So you can just run the pick and roll and create a shot from there. So this play is pretty good. I like it. Just know whoever you call it for is the one that's gonna be cutting. So if you calling it to get a 3-point shot, then you will have to call it for the other person. So if you want Harden to take the 3, you have to call it for Chris Paul, and vice versa. Also, if you call the play for Ennis, Chris Paul will be the one to take the 3. And when you're trying to make the pass to the cutter, just pay attention to the center. In this case, it was Brook Lopez. So if he's sagging in the paint, then it won't be open. But if he's up near the free throw line or above the free throw line, then that cut will be open and you could make that pass. Also, when you're standing on a wing, you don't have to stand inside the little circle. Like, you can move over a little bit. You don't have to go all the way into the corner. But if you move over to the right a little bit more, even if you go into like the little mid-range area, you'll have a better passing angle as well. So keep that in mind. And there will be times where you'll be able to throw a lob to the cutter as well. Just don't be throwing lobs to Chris Paul because he won't catch them. But another thing I noticed is that James Harden can't catch lobs neither. For some reason, I don't know why. He's not the most athletic person, but he's athletic enough to catch a lob, especially coming from Chris Paul, who's one of the best passers ever in life. So I don't understand why he just doesn't catch lobs. I would understand if he caught it and laid it up instead of dunked it. I'll be fine with that, but for some reason he just won't catch it. But if you call a play for Ennis and you throw a lob to him, he actually will catch it and dunk it. So that's just something that I noticed that I felt was important. Next, we have the Fist 2 flare. You can call this for Chris Paul, Harden, or Ennis, and most of the time you'll end up with a layup or a corner 3. So right here we're running it for Harden, and he's going to start with the ball at the top, and Capella's going to come set a screen for him. If the defense plays it wrong, most of the time you'll be able to go all the way to the basket with James Harden. But also, while he's driving to the basket, Ennis is going to set a screen for Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is going to run to the corner. So if they do stop the drive, you can hit Chris Paul in the corner for a 3. So this play is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's just a high pick and roll with a flare screen, and you don't really have a predetermined decision when calling this play. You just call it and take what the defense gives you. Also, whoever you call the play for is going to be the ball handler. So if you wanted Harden to shoot, you have to call it for Chris Paul, and vice versa. Next, we have the quick Veer fist. You can run this for James Harden or Eric Gordon, and you'll either end up with a 3 or a layup. So right here we're running it for James Harden, and Chris Paul's going to start with the ball at the top. Capella is going to fake like he's going to set a screen for Paul, but he's going to set a screen for James Harden, and a lot of the times he'll be open for that 3. And if he's not open, just hold the ball and the play goes into a side pick and roll with Capella, and from there you could take it all the way to the rim or pass to Capella on the roll or whatever the defense gives you. So this is another pretty simple play, but it's really effective, especially the side pick and roll. Side picks are really good and get you a lot of easy baskets at the rim, and there's also opportunities for euros and reverse layups and that kind of stuff too. Lastly, we have the Fist 4 corner high. You can run this for pretty much anybody, but right here we're running it for Harden, and it's just a high side pick and roll with Capella. So it's really simple, really straightforward, nothing too special, but it's still really effective. So like I said earlier in the video, this playbook was recently updated, and me personally, I like the old playbook better than this new one. And I said in the Bucks playbook video, the new one wasn't necessarily better or worse than the updated one, but the updated one definitely fit them better in how they like to play. And it's the same situation here. I think the old Rockets playbook was better, but this one, it actually fits their play style. And it mirrors how they play in real life. It's basically just give the ball to James Harden or Chris Paul, have them run pick and roll with Capella, everybody else just stand around and wait for them to pass you the ball. That's basically what this playbook is, and that's how they play in real life too. Me personally, I prefer to have players moving off the ball and running through double screens or single screens and just moving off the ball in general to get open shots, whether it be a star or a shooter that can't really create their own shot. But with this playbook, if I wanted to give someone like James Ennis a shot, I really can't call a play for him. I would just have to call some kind of pick and roll with James Harden and hope that Ennis's man helps off of him so he could get open. Whereas the old playbook, I could call like the Horns flare or some other play to get him a shot. But if this is your play style, if you like to run a lot of pick and rolls and you're a dribble god and you really know how to use the pick and roll, this playbook could be good for you. So that's the end of the video. If you're interested in other videos like this, I'll leave a card on the screen to my last video that I did, which was the Bucks playbook, and also the playlist that I have. Also, if you're interested in my team, I have a couple gameplays of that as well, so check those out if you're interested, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content.